All right, folks, welcome back. This is Jake Ellenbogen. I am here following a Rams win. They're 5-5 on the season, and they just won their fifth game of the year, and they've won 4 of their last 5 games. After that game against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football to get this win, it does feel good. There were some issues I had with this game. Mainly being, and this is just kind of what it's been throughout the Sean McVay era, if we're being honest, this team just simply does not finish games. They do not step and just absolutely tear the other team's throat out. They really keep teams in games. We've seen that. They did it again. I don't think this game should have been close. I thought they clearly outplayed the Patriots. And yes, I thought Sean Smith's officiating crew was absolutely abysmal. But at the same time, I thought the Rams kept him in the game. I thought, we're only running 15 times with Kyron Williams, despite the fact he's averaging 5.7 yards per carry. A little, confusing on that part. Deciding to go for the jugular on 3rd and 6, where if you just pick up the first down, it ends the game. Just throw ahead of the sticks instead of trying to go deep down the field like that. I felt like giving the Patriots a shot, albeit very unlikely shot, was a mistake. So I had my issues with this game, but I also want to give a lot of credit to the Rams for getting up, getting ready to go out to the East Coast, cross-country road trip here on a short week and getting this win. The Patriots were playing for something. They're 3-7. They are in the AFC, which means they are right in the thick of things, only 2 out of the loss column for the 7th seed. And that's kind of how I look at it. I think the Patriots came into this. They were desperate. They gave the Rams their all. You saw some things on defense definitely early on. But then also Drake May, I thought he played very well, all things considered. So looking at this game from the top, Matthew Stafford, 4 touchdowns, right? This was his best game of the year. I think it's very safe to say that. And he actually missed another touchdown, so he should have had 5. And again, my biggest issue with this is 28-22 just doesn't really feel what the game really was. Really felt more like it was like a 38-14 type of game. The Rams really just outplayed them, but for whatever reason, it ended up being down to the wire. Once again, the defense had to make a stop to seal the game. So a little, annoying there. But Stafford was great. Like I said, he missed 2 throws he'll want back, but for the most part, fantastic stuff. The throw, to Puka Nacua, the catch that he made to sprawl out, full out in front of him, full extension, make that grab, the Cooper Kupp touchdown, the Parkinson touchdown. I love sneezing. But the Parkinson touchdown was a thing of beauty, man. It really was. And that's what they brought him in here to do, okay? They brought Parkinson to LA. I know a lot of people will say his blocking ability, but no. At Stanford, this is what he did. He caught touchdowns. He's a big target, 6'7", runs like a gazelle. Thank you. So he runs like a gazelle. So that's why they brought him in. That was really the entire point of bringing in a guy like Colby Parkinson, knowing Tyler Higbee is going to miss half the year. And now he's missed more than half the year. Thanks a lot, Kirby Joseph, dirty hit. Parkinson, he only had 1 target, but it was a catch and it was a touchdown, 19 yards. So great stuff there. I thought you saw some really intriguing, exciting things from Blake Corum. Really liked what you saw to Blake Corum early on in the game. I liked what you saw to Kyron. Kyron could have gone for 200 in this game, the way he was running. Very confident, making, just quick reads. And when I say reads, like he's reading blocks the same way a quarterback would read a defense, trying to, go through his progressions and find the open man. So Kyron Williams did a great job of that. I thought he made some great decisions on the ground, took care of the football. Most importantly, those fumbles have been a little bit of an issue this year. So it was good to see there. And, I really liked what I saw at Corum. In the receiving game, this was a Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua extravaganza. Both went over 100 yards. both combined for 19 targets and 13 receptions for 229 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. These two were just on the same page with Stafford. And to be honest with you, this is really what the Rams offense is going to look like when those guys are playing at their best. You're going to see a lot of touchdowns because these guys, when they're playing at their best and Stafford's playing at his best, you have Kyler Williams doing that, those 4 are the lifeblood of this offense. So, I really think that's kind of a big deal to get them going. I love the way they use Tutu Atwell. They used him on that final drive right before the half. They used him to get Puka Nacua open. So love that. The protection was way better. Absolutely right. The protection was very good. Bo Limmer made a huge difference. I do want to talk about that because I feel like Jonah Jackson might have actually been a really good move. I could understand what they were doing, going out and signing him. They wanted him to play left guard. Avila was going to play center. Dotson was going to play right guard. And you were going to have a really dominant front, especially in the interior. Well, the reality of it is I think the Rams sabotaged themselves. I think they got excited about this idea, for whatever reason, of Jonah Jackson playing center. And the reality is he started playing center right before the season. They just announced it. He barely had any practice with it. And he's just not a center. So, unfortunately, he's the odd man out. And Bo Limmer looks really good. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. I just don't. I don't think they're going to continue to pay Jonah Jackson. It is what it is. But, yeah, I definitely think they sabotaged themselves there. With that said, I give them credit for willing to admit maybe not a mistake in signing him, but a mistake in him playing center and going back to Bo Limmer, who just looked much better. This offensive line was moving people. It was a really good performance out of the 5 guys up front. And so I don't want that to go by the wayside. I thought you saw some really good things out of them. But I think it is fair, if we're going to be, critical of Jonah Jackson, it's fair to at least admit this guy's had injuries and this guy's been playing out of position. So, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt there. I also want to give props before we move on to the defense. Drake May is really good, guys. I think Drake May is a great young quarterback in this league. I would take him over Caleb Williams. I take him over everybody in this draft except for Jaden Daniels right now. Drake May changing the arm angles, making plays with his legs. You want to know why, though, a lot of his plays were dink and dunks, why he didn't have a lot of yards down the field? It's because this is really what we saw when Aaron Donald was with the Rams. The Rams pass rush has become so just dominant to the point where teams are now just trying to get rid of the ball. They're just trying to get rid of the ball. They don't care, how it looks. They're just trying to dump this thing off, get rid of it, because if you use the short passing, the quick passing, you use that game, you are going to mitigate a pass rush. You're going to slow it down. When you run the ball, same thing. And so the Patriots, I thought, did a nice job. I actually liked their game plan. I think they expected more out of Ramondre Stevenson, but credit the Rams defense. I think they've done a great job making adjustments and stopping the run. But in addition to that, the Rams were getting pressure on Drake May. They blitzed, I think, the first 4 plays of the game. They just kept blitzing him, and they had pressure. But if Drake May gets rid of the ball, it doesn't matter if those are pressures. Drake May got rid of the ball. So I thought he did a really nice job of, staying calm, cool, collected in the pocket, and made this a game. Whether I think it should have been or not is irrelevant. I think May did a really nice job. Now we move on to the defense, though, and I do want to just shout out one. I thought Christian Roseboom just continued the way he's been playing. Looks so much better playing alongside Omar Speights. I just have to say it. It's not really even close. He looks so much better playing with Speights as opposed to playing, with Troy Reeder. In addition to that, Quentin Lake, I thought, made a fantastic play on a screen that could have been huge for the Patriots, and they hit him with an unnecessary roughness call where he went into an offensive lineman's lower half. In my opinion, I understand the call. I understand player safety. but I don't know what Quentin Lake is supposed to do there. If you're trying to stop, that play, he did as best as he could, because now it's like you're forcing these DBs who are already outclassed by these offensive linemen to just go, man to man against them. And really, at this point now, it's going to be harder to disengage from an offensive lineman who has great grip strength. So now you have that guy that's coming out in the quick passing attack or the screen pass, and he's going to make you pay. And so I felt like Quentin Lake got a little punished for that. Thought he had a good game today. Nice pass breakup. Of course, we know Cameron Kinchin's the hero at the end of the game with the interception. He also forced a fumble. So that was great. Although they gave him a forced fumble on here, that to me goes to Michael Hoyt, who punched it out. But, they gave it to him, so I'm reading it right from here. You also had a TFL. Kobe Turner looked really good, especially in the run game. Omar Spates, I thought you saw some really good things out of him. Michael Hoyt was everywhere. Michael Hoyt is really good, and the Rams better come to play in the offseason, because if they want him, they might have to pay for it. Michael Hoyt is going to be a team is going to want Michael Hoyt to start for them. He is that good. He gets a lot of flack, but this is a guy that he blocked a extra point today that made it a very interesting game at the end. But in addition to that, this is a guy that plays in that cheetah package where you have 3 edge defenders on the field at the same time. Very reminiscent to Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide. You had Will Anderson, you had Chris Braswell, and you had the player from Minnesota who's totally blanking. I'm blanking on right now. Point being, that cheetah package has worked wonders for that. Byron Young, Jared Verse, and Michael Hoyt being on the field at the same time has produced a lot of pressure, a lot of win rate. McCullough looked good today. He got hit on a really bad PI call, just terrible, where he's pushed, but they call it on him. They did it earlier. They did later on in the game to Akella Witherspoon as well, who I know people are getting on. I don't know why. He did not have a bad game. Any corners giving up that touchdown, they're playing off, way off. So a quick slant and boom, any corners giving up that touchdown. But as far as that play at the end, I see a lot of Rams fans that were complaining about Akella Witherspoon. I don't know how. He got pushed down and they called a pass interference call on him. So maybe let's just chalk it up to how bad Sean Smith is at being an official, right? Jared Verse, got a lot of pressure, didn't get any sacks today, so that was a little frustrating. Braden Fisk, if there was a player of the game candidate, it has to be Fisk. Forces the fumble, the turnover, has 2 sacks, really, really did a nice job in this one. Bobby Brown looked good. Really just this defense. Say what you will, looked like they were giving up a lot of yards, and, rightfully so. They definitely did give up a lot of yards. But holding a team like this to 22, it's not bad. On the road, 22 points. You should win those games when you have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, and Puka Nacua. And that's sure enough what they did. I had an issue with them deciding to go for it. And what I mean by go for it, on 3rd and 6, instead of throwing for the first down and taking the more conservative approach, they decided to go for the jugular and throw over the top in a low percentage throw. I understand Stafford's great. He's fantastic. He's phenomenal. But that was asking a lot out of Puka Nacua, where there wasn't a lot of real estate anyway. So I had issues with that, because now, you're not kicking the field goal, you're punting, you're giving it back to them. But there is one thing I have to point out. They knew what they were doing. You know why they knew what they were doing? Because when they punted it back to them, the entire point to this, they knew. They watched the game just like you and I. They lived it. They knew their defense was going to come up with a stop. It's not necessarily having confidence in your defense. It's not necessarily being delusional either. The reality is Drake May, while he looked really good today, at no point did he have enough time to really go down the field, right? So now you are forcing their hand where they have to go like 91 yards to go win the game, and they need a touchdown, and time is against them. And you're talking about a pass rush that got there today, but they would just dink and dunk it. Well, time is against you. You have no timeouts. You can't dink and dunk it. The reality is the Patriots were in a no-win situation where they got the ball back, but they knew they weren't going to be able to really push down the field. They were hoping they'd get lucky, maybe a PI call, which they did get. They were hoping they'd maybe get lucky, broken coverage, miscommunication, something like that. But there's no way that they thought they were going to win this game when it got to that point, because this pass rush has been all over Drake May all game. And the thing that mitigated it was actually getting rid of the ball quickly. But when you have these long developing plays to try to win the ball game, you can't get rid of the ball quickly. There's no such thing as getting rid of a ball quickly when a guy's going 40 yards down the field and you need to drive 90 yards to win the game in under a minute. It's just not likely, right? So that's where we're at on this. It really, they were asking a lot, and the Rams strategically made the right move. I disagreed with it then. I still disagree with it because I'm not a fan of just taking back what I said. I think that they should have tried to attempt to get the first down, and there's no way I would have allowed the Patriots to get the ball back if I could help it. But the Rams really were just going for the jugular. It didn't pan out. And Puka Nacua, he got his hands on it. He should catch it. But that's a tough catch, right? If he catches it, then he looks like a genius. If he doesn't catch it, whatever. That's my thoughts on that, right? I think all in all, this game gets them back to 500. They can go over 500 next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. In a game that I think they really have a shot of. I know Philly just came out guns blazing against Washington and scared a lot of people. Philly still hasn't played a ton of teams. And in addition to that, the Rams have been in like every game so far this year. So it's not that I'm worried about the Eagles just pulling away. If anything, it's the history. The Eagles almost always seem to beat the Rams. They have not lost to the Rams since that Philly game in 2020 where Tyler Higbee had 3 touchdowns. But that's next week. Right now, the Rams are 5-5. They had a great game today, great showing. The offense put up 28 points today. Much needed, 4 touchdowns. Must feel a lot better knowing that you did that. And you can never take any win for granted in the NFL, but you definitely can't take a win for granted on the road. We'll see what ends up happening moving forward. We await the 49er and Seattle game and how that's going to go down. But as it stands right now, the Rams have done the best they can to put themselves in a position to stay in the playoff race. That's what it comes down to. The Rams are 5-5. Seattle's 4-5. San Francisco's 5-4. Arizona is 6-4. Currently, the 49ers have a 7-3 lead against the Seahawks in San Francisco. No George Kittle. That game is huge. So you definitely want to go and check that game out. But that is going to do it for me. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate Bleacher Report as always for having me. You can follow me on all social media at JK Bogan. You can check out my YouTube channel, Jake ELLENBOGEN. I will see you guys soon. Take care, folks. Later.